you've heard what your fellow colleagues has had to say. Just a briefing. We'll start with climate change, a few minutes, and then.
Can I maybe just an introduction, Chairman? And I noticed that the Chairman seems to. He must be allergic to me or something. I think this is the second time he has not been able to be here when I have attended the committee. I hope it's nothing to do with being allergic to me or Sammyitis or something like that. But can I thank the committee for the opportunity to come along this morning, and also thank the committee for putting on a show in this wonderful part of the building. I expected to be in the basement somewhere after some of the comments have been made, but it's nice to be in the dungeons. It's nice to be in the Senate chamber. Can I assure you, Chairman, the last time I chaired a committee here was when I was chairman of the Education Committee, and the Minister for Education came to give evidence. I'll not be doing any walkout this morning. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And I mean, whilst I understand that you've got to get through the first part and the kind of what all I can describe as juvenile grandstanding by some members of the committee on the whole issue of climate change, there is an important issue which I hope we do get time to talk about when we come to the planning issue, because as I've already expressed to you privately and said or hinted at publicly in the Assembly, we are in very real jeopardy as a result of the delay by the Deputy First Minister and by your own party of not meeting our targets for planning reform, something which I am fairly sure that many people in Northern Ireland will be far more interested in than my views on climate change. But we are in real danger of not being able to deliver, first of all, on some of the planning reform changes, and secondly, on the transfer of planning functions to councils because of the undue delay, a paper which has been with the Deputy First Minister and your party since the middle of December and has still not been cleared. And unfortunately, neither I nor my officials are aware of what the difficulties are. And you know, whilst I've always said to the committee, I want to give them their place when it comes to consultation on important policy issues, and this is an extremely important policy issue, and also to ensure that we don't have to go for accelerated passage, because I don't believe that that's a good way of dealing with legislation. Nevertheless, the timetable is now getting very tight, and indeed some of the consultation is going to have to be rejigged. And when it comes to the actual consultation on the policy before it goes out to consultation, etc., I think we're probably going to find the committee has less of an input than what it has. So I hope, and I'm quite happy to talk all day about climate change, but I think that the important issues which this committee needs to deal with, I hope that we get sufficient time to deal with them as well. Thank you.
Okay. Point taken, and it's good to see you're in from the cold, Minister. Okay, so if you'd like to... Yes.
I mean, because obviously there is a very important issue in terms of the planning issue on it. I see obviously we do at least have as one of the areas we're going to discuss in the policy statement. I presume then those issues in terms of the broader planning reform issues we'll be able to raise under those, onto that front.
Well, in terms of, you know, the Minister's indicated it's in relation to parties, but I mean, this committee, and solely this committee, has a responsibility to scrutinise as well. So I'll allow it in terms of talking about it from a committee point of view, certainly. But Minister, could we start then with the climate change issue? Yeah, okay, right. Over to you.
Well, first of all, can I just say a couple of things on the whole climate change issue? I'm somewhat surprised at, first of all, the attention that the committee has given to this, since in your opening remarks you have indicated that as far as any obligations which I have on climate change legislation, I have fulfilled. I have sent papers to the committee seeking their views on, for example, the climate change committee's directives as far as carbon reductions. I have asked for the committee's views on the carbon reduction commitments. Some of these policies, I've got to say, will have, and indeed other ministers have pointed out to me, will have significant detriment to the Northern Ireland economy and to individuals in the Northern Ireland economy, including the DSD Minister, who has pointed out that some of these policies will actually leave about 170,000 people in fuel poverty in Northern Ireland, and she believes that that may be an underestimate. But nevertheless, I have fulfilled my obligation in bringing issues which I am not in total agreement with to the committee, because it's my responsibility as Minister. The committee has given views. I have taken those back to the Executive Committee, and therefore the furore that there has been around this whole issue, I'm somewhat surprised about. I think that, secondly, had the committee done a bit of research, they wouldn't have believed the misreporting by either a mischievous reporter in BBC or one who is illiterate, or at least has problems with literacy, when he claimed that I had banned a particular advert. First of all, it's not my role to ban anything. Secondly, it wouldn't have been possible for me to ban the Act on CO2 advert, as has been shown by the fact that it's been on national channels and also been shown by some local or run by some local radio stations. I think I had made the position clear that whilst this was an advert drawn up by government at Westminster, this is a devolved matter. They had been unwilling to consult with either the administration here in Northern Ireland or the administration in Scotland or Wales, and indeed on constitutional grounds the Scottish Assembly took exactly the same view as I did. They wanted some amendments. The DEC refused to contemplate any of those amendments, and as a result we decided not to use it. That is not to say that there is not an energy saving message going out in Northern Ireland, because of course the Department of Social Development, through the Energy Saving Trust, has been running its own energy saving messages for a long time. When people get their electricity bills, they get a notice with it encouraging them to save energy, and indeed many of the things which the department does also encourages people to save energy. So it's not that people in Northern Ireland have had, and I think again of some of those who engaged in the kind of knee-jerk reaction, and unfortunately one of them was not here this morning. It shows how important the issue was to Mr Gallagher. But had some research been done into this, I think that maybe they would have been less vociferous in their complaints about the role which I have played, not only in this, but I'm quite happy throughout the session to explain the other things and the other ways in which I've fulfilled my role as a minister. So I just want to put that on record. There's been no ban. It is not my role to ban these things. In fact, it would seem that from the reaction from some in the committee, the only people who want to ban anything are some members of this committee who believe that I should not have the freedom of speech to express an alternative point of view, a very widely held alternative point of view as to the cause of climate change. But when it actually comes to saving energy, and in doing so, if that reduces CO2 emissions, that's a consequence of it. When it comes to that, I have fulfilled that role. But I simply will not repeat the mantra-like words of those who have swallowed the idea that all climate change is due to man-made activity.